I'm going to demonstrate the DNA Center utility script that I recently created. And the purpose of the script is to take an Excel document like this one with multiple worksheets and read in each of the tabs and then create the objects in DNA Center. And the reason I chose to use Excel is because this is an easier way for users to interact than CSV files, a number of CSV files. So we can see here in this worksheet that we have sites, and here we have a few columns, and the first column that really is significant is the name column. And here in the name column, we simply create the hierarchy of the sites and the names for the sites. And in this case, I used this naming convention just to be able to more simply demonstrate how this works. So L1 will be level 1, which is just under global, and then we have level 2, and then level 3, and finally we have buildings. And here in this column C, we can specify area, building, or floor, and in this case we just have floor as building and area examples. And then in this column here we have addresses only for buildings. And then in the pools tab, I'm going to run over there real quick, we can create our pools that DNA Center will then use to execute automation, right? And for both configuration as well as for building underlays and stuff like that. Anyways, we have pool names, and then we have subnets for each of the pools, and then we specify whether they're global pools, the highest level, or if they are going to be associated with an area or a building or something like that. And in this case, we have the floors that, the buildings that I'm associating them with. And we have, even though the building name is right, level 3, building 1, they all look the same, but you will notice that a couple of these buildings, these pools, are for area 2, area 2, area 2, area 2. So they're not the same building actually. So you can have the same name in the hierarchy as long as the entire hierarchy is not the same. And we have a column here for the global pool names that these subnets are a part of, and you'll see that these global pool names match up with these pool names up here. And then finally we have the HTTP servers and DNS servers and gateways to assign for those pools, and those are used by automation when they're building SVIs and address forwarding for specifying these settings. And then this is as far as I've completed, but the idea is to keep going with credentials and site settings, and I'll add those later on in the project. This script is all written in Python. I'm using both the SDK for DNA Center that Cisco's published, and a few things I've had to use the raw APIs. But where an SDK is available, I have moved to using the SDKs. I'm going to log into DNA Center to show you that the content that we're going to be adding is actually missing. And here we see that the site names, there's no site with L1 here, and so these sites aren't created yet. And also if we go over to look at the pools, IP address pools, what we'll find is that there are 3 pools, and these are not the pools that we'll be creating today with the automation, with the script. And I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the script now. I just dropped into a shell, just Mac, in a Linux shell on my Mac, and I'm going to run the script. So the script can be run either by providing an argument to the script with the task you want to run, or you can just hit enter without any arguments, and then you can specify. We've got a few other tasks that we can do specifically, but in this case I'm going to run the import from Excel task, and it will ask for the username to log into the DNA Center. I do have the DNA Center IP address hard-coded right now for simplicity, but obviously that can easily be changed. That's the username, and then put in a password, and we can import the credentials from a module as well, but if the module doesn't exist, then the script will ask you to enter those pieces of information. And here it wants the file name, and in this case I have it saved in the same directory, and the name of the file is template.xlsx, and we have to use XLSX workbooks for this. So we hit that, hit enter, and now the script is running in the background, or it's running. It just not, I don't have a lot of output, but I do have quite a bit of logging that's happening. So you can always go back and look at the logs to understand if something fails, where it failed. And here is an example of something that failed. I'm just going to run it again before I go back and look at the log. Sorry about the annoying notifications. I should have turned that off. But let's see here. We'll go through, create the sites first, and then run through the script. Okay. So looks like we're going to run successfully this time around. And here I'm just showing a little bit of output because of what I was doing during, troubleshooting during creating the script. And this is the log file that I've captured my output in. So for this last run, each run of the script will create a new log file with a date timestamp prepended to the script file name in the logs directory. And so if we look at that, we'll do a tail on it just so we can see. In the end, it's checking for the status of the calls that it made, and we can see here that the is error and all this output here was false. Is error false? Is error false? So we've checked the status of these last several requests, and they've gone through successfully. So if we go here to the DNA Center interface again, and we look for a network hierarchy, and we see the sites L1 area 1, L1 area 2, L1 area 3. These are all sites that were created, and if we go out of here and go to network settings, and we look for address pools, because that's what we should have created, some address pools. And we can see here that the 11.address pools and the 173.address pools were created by the script. And at the building level, we see we've assigned reserved address pools here at this level for some of the specific automation tasks and different VNs, virtual networks that will be created later. And similarly, if we go to the building level here, we'll see the same thing. We've got pools created for this building as well for the use cases there. And so that would be the entire demo. The one other thing I wanted to show actually was in DNA Center, as we're building applications around the APIs, there's the developer toolkit. And the developer toolkit is quite helpful actually, because it gives us the information we need. For example, if I'm going to create a global pool, an IAP pool, I can come here and look at the schema for that pool, for that object, and understand exactly how the request, the JSON, should be formatted, which of the fields are required versus optional, and if it's a field that's enumerated and requires only certain values, this model tells us what the values should be. And if we go to the model schema tab on this page, we can see exactly what the JSON should look like. And so this was very helpful in developing the script. Hope this was helpful to you, and I'll look forward to adding functionality to the script over time.